Alright, let's start this thing. Hello, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the hay fever fueled stream. Apologies for sniffles, for having to mute myself and or hide the camera, if I can remember what the hotkeys are. But let's hope for the best. I have my tea. Hopefully you have yours. So, firstly, housekeeping. I did say that I would do no coding that wasn't on stream, and that's true, but I did create a README file for this project, just for fun, so you can read that if you really want. The most exciting thing, though, is we have a pull request, which is very cool. Thank you, Marco. I will not attempt to pronounce your surname correctly. So this is awesome. Crazy that I have a pull request. So let's have a look at it. I like this, feel free to reject. So yeah, I said in the README that there's a good chance I won't take PRs because I want to do all the coding on stream, but if they're small enough, that's fine. This one's certainly small, but anyway, well done, Marco, for reading it and being nice up front about it. I probably will reject this one, but we'll talk about it first. So there's really two changes here. One is to add a global.json file, which would pin our version of our SDK at 3.0. So if you don't know what this does, essentially, well, it does exactly what I just said. It pins the SDK. So it doesn't matter what. Oh, hello, Marco, in the chat. Oh, good. Imagine you've had dessert. Excellent. I don't get dessert. Yeah, so this pins the SDK at 3.0.100. I don't have a reason to do this. I remember in the .NET 1 days, .NET Core 1.0 and 1.1 days, this was often useful because breaking changes were coming through. But then at the same time, it also got annoying because I would, have the SDK pinned at 1.1.200, and my friend who was sitting next to me had a 1.1.300, or had 1.1.300 installed, and he couldn't build my thing, and vice versa. So there's sort of good and bad to this. This is the sort of thing where I am more likely to take the path of being a minimalist and waiting until there is a problem to go with this. The other thing is my attitude towards this sort of thing has sort of changed a bit. So since I work very closely with the team that is responsible for producing this SDK, I'm actually totally fine with taking whatever version happens to be on my machine, and if there's bugs in it, then I'd rather report those bugs. Not something you can do necessarily, not something you can sort of do with a real production app, obviously, but this is just playing around. So I'm kind of happy to leave this. The other thing that's slightly interesting now is I pretty much get my .NET Core SDK from Visual Studio, and I have like 5 different Visual Studios installed. I can actually show you. Not that it means much, but I'll show you anyway. So, yeah, because of getting my .NET Cores from Visual Studio and not really knowing what that means, they're always upgrading. So if you watch the first episode, when I did FileMe project, I actually got a .NET Core 3.1 project, which I didn't even realize, because apparently I have that SDK. Hey, there we go. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 installs today. Some internal builds there. This is the master build. It's always due for an update because it's literally the build out of the master branch. But anyway, so I'm happy to get the latest, use the latest, and just see how it goes. If there's a problem, then yeah, I might revisit that. And then this change just adds those files to the Solution Explorer. That's not exciting. Now the NuGet config one, this one's I'm sort of more okay with this, I guess. So what this is doing is basically saying we don't want to be at the mercy of whatever package sources you happen to have on your machine. For this project, or for this solution, it's definitely the API.NuGet.org that we want. And so I'm cool with this. I don't have a problem with this at the moment, but I've definitely worked in places where this could have been a problem. I worked at one place where we had a private NuGet server, and the authentication around that was a bit hacky, so we just put the NuGet server behind the VPN and turned off authentication on the server itself. So that worked great if you were on the VPN, but if you weren't on the VPN, it was annoying. And NuGet has this thing where it will query every package source for every package. So whether you're on the VPN or off the VPN, it didn't matter. It would always query. Like if you wanted to use newtonsoft.json, it would try and query that one. So if you weren't on the VPN, you then had to wait for it to time out. It was horrible and annoying. So this is a cool change. We can take this one, but not in this way. And don't worry, Marco, you had no way of knowing this, but so you can actually do this same thing without a NuGet.config file, which I quite like. So we already have this packages.targets file over here. So I've decided to run the preview version of VS as well. I think I was running just the current VS 2019 last time, but I thought I'd run the preview and I can show off new things. Like this icon for targets files is new. It's a target file. Anyway, so we already have this this file here that sort of, this is where we have all of the knowledge of our packages, all of our NuGet stuff. And so I can actually do the same thing as you would do in that NuGet config file in here, with the restore sources property. And so I can take this exact source here and simply paste it in there. So this does the same job as that NuGet.config. And I kind of like this just because it keeps it neater. This keeps everything in one file, which is cool. Now, the other thing that Marco did in this NuGet config, which is pretty good and important, is this clear thing. So what this is saying is the package sources for this project or this solution, by default, they will have the same package sources as you have on your machine. So clear is saying get rid of them, and then we add. So we know that after this operation, we'll only have one package source. So to do the same sort of thing in a property group, well, you actually kind of fall into it without doing anything. This is setting the restore sources property to this, and that's all it is. If I wanted to not sort of override, not reset it, I would actually have to make sure that I include the previous value of restore sources, which I do with this little dollar syntax in MSBuild. This is how you read a property. So we're basically saying set the restore sources property to whatever is in restore sources and a semicolon, and then whatever we want. So to clear, we actually just do this. And this kind of brings up one thing I forgot to talk about with MSBuild last time, and that is, how do you know that what you're doing is right, essentially? You can actually, I just noticed this, just did a quick restore there as I changed the sources, so that's good. How do you know whether it's right? And obviously you can build your project, and if it works, that's great. But here I'm setting the restore sources property. And we talked about how my project file has this import of this SDK, and then it will import this directory build props and directory build targets. There's also targets that come from NuGet packages, and all sorts of things could be sort of on your machine. So how do we know for sure that this restore sources is the one that is going to be the one that is used? It's not going to be overriding anything important or overridden by anything after the fact. So there's a couple of ways to tell that. Let's dig into that. So I'll just open up a terminal, and I want a developer command prompt. Hello, Grok. I love how my color of my face changes with every window I open, because the only light in here is my monitor. That's on purpose, because the room behind me is not neat. So let's go to trains.net. And let's pick a project, I guess, trains.net. So we have in here our CS proj. And what I want to know is, essentially, how can I be sure that my restore sources or my lang version or my packages or whatever it is, how can I be sure that it's being set to what I think it's being set to? So there's two command line parameters for MSBuild that are really useful for this. So if I do MSBuild trains.net.csproj and I want to use the /pp parameter, which is pre-process. Essentially what this is going to do is MSBuild will import all of those files, all those SDKs, everything from NuGet, from wherever you need, and it's going to output the sort of result of that. So what is the project, the whole world project view as MSBuild sees it? It's just going to dump that to standard out, so we're going to output it to a file. So that goes and runs. I can now open that up in VS Code, which has conveniently opened up on the wrong monitor in its own instance, and that didn't work. Okay, let's do that again. There we go. So, this is an enormous file. So this is the project, right? If we go back to what my actual project is, which is trains.net.csproj, it is 19 lines. Hang on a minute. Why can't I see line numbers? I like to see line numbers. So yeah, it's 19 lines. Once it's been processed by MSBuild, it looks like this, and it is 14,000 lines. So I can go through here and I can just do a search for restore sources, and there's where it's used, there's where it's used, it's used again. In fact, I can just look for the element. There we go. So on line 9000 is my packages.targets, and I'm setting restore sources. Now, I can just see in the scroll bar here, there's no other yellow dots, so nothing's setting this after this, right? So we're safe here. So this is good. But this is a really useful way if your build is failing or doing something weird and you're not sure why. This can be a really cool way to find out, because you get to see, essentially MSBuild's view of the world. If we go back up to the top, so we can see we're starting with our project, and it has this element, default targets is build. So this wasn't expressed in our project, but it's the default. So, MSBuild is including that. And, sorry about that. Hay fever. Lots of fun. And so then we're importing SDK.props. Now you notice this is in a comment. So this is not really in our project file, but as it says, this import was implicitly added because of the SDK attribute. So the SDK attribute gets converted to an import, and then with our /pp option, we do the import. And so what it does, essentially our SDK equals Microsoft.net.SDK.Windows Desktop becomes an import from whatever SDK it has decided to use. So in my case, I've already gone up to 3.1.100. So even though I've said to build against 3.0, I don't have 3.0 on my machine because 3.1 probably clobbered it when I installed that or upgraded to Visual Studio. So it's found this SDK to use. It's gone to the SDK's path, and it's just looked for a folder called that and SDK/SDK.props. That's just a convention. And so this is, essentially this is .NET Core, right? This is all of the MSBuild stuff for .NET Core. And this imports a bunch of other stuff. So here you can see we've got some NuGet stuff, right? We're importing NuGet.g.props. There's nothing in this. Actually, that's not. Yeah. So there's nothing much in this, but then it imports all of the props and targets from all of my packages. So I reference .NET Core.analyzers, and it has some props here. So the whole view of the world. So there's a lot to dig into, but you can start to see, and if you're trying to look for something, like for example, if I'm looking for lang version, so this is where I set it in my directory build props. So we can see we're up the top here. If I keep looking for more spots where it's set, I'm going to find somewhere in C# core, we're setting it to max supported version. We've got some logic there to pick the version of C# based on our target framework. So you can start to explore these files and see where they're coming from. I didn't know about package sources. How does that compare to good old NuGet-config? So yeah, so where we started this discussion, which maybe you just missed, was so Marco kindly submitted a PR to add a NuGet.config and specify the sources. And basically, I'm using restore sources to just represent the exact same thing as this, but in the file I already set up that represents all of my NuGet stuff. There's more in NuGet-config you can do, and I don't know whether everything you can do in there has an equivalent in MSBuild, but yeah, it might. I'm not sure. So the other way to diagnose build problems. Let me just delete that. The other thing we can do is MSBuild. The other useful command line is /bl, which stands for binary log. So this is going to do a build of my project, and it's going to log using the binary logger, which is creating a file in the background, which is a binlog file. So it's also going to do a build. And then with my binlog file, I can go and get some software called MSBuild Structured Log Viewer. Thoroughly recommended download from msbuildlog.com. It is a fantastic tool. Probably, I don't actually know of a better tool for analyzing log files. So I've got here my msbuild.binlog. If I open that up, so what this is this is the same log that you would get out of MSBuild with a text file, but because it's a binary format, it's been able to pull out a lot more info. So we can see it's building this project. Here's some properties. Here's some items it has. Like there's a bunch of stuff. That's caused it to build this project because of a project reference, or sorry, possibly not build, right? So this is just calling get target framework. So first it's analyzing, making sure all the, getting its graph together. Then it calls build. This does whatever it needs to do. In this case, probably the build was up to date, so it might not be useful. But so this is absolutely one of the best ways if you want to diagnose what's going on. And you can see all sorts of things. So if we look for that lang version property, we can see here that it's being set to preview. This is probably just at the start when it's loaded that project. Yep, because that's how we've expressed it. You can see it for all the other projects as well. The other thing, so this is really good to analyze all sorts of stuff about your project. The other thing that's really cool though, as a little trick, is if we do that same build again, we can tell MSBuild we want to set a property. And I want to set, so /p is property, and I can set lang version here, and let's just set it to 1.0 just for fun, or to 1. And this will probably break the build, but maybe. Oh, it compiled, cool. So if we open up our binlog again, what we should see this time is an error. Yeah. So we can see here, lang version is 1, as we'd expect, because we set it on the command line. But the thing is, anything you've set on the command line overrides anything else in your project, in your targets, props, anything. Doesn't matter. Command line always wins. So you see these messages here. The lang version property is a global property and can be modified. So this is a message that is coming out when something is trying to change lang version. So as much as you can search MSBuild log viewer for where the property is set, the other little hack is just to, if the value doesn't change, it might not appear in this log. So if you set the property on the command line, you're essentially saying, show me an error wherever this lang version or whatever property is trying to be set. So another little trick there. And then just to round out the MSBuild stuff, I should delete my binlog again. So I passed in stuff on the command line, right? /pp, /whatever. If there is properties or something that you always want to specify on the command line, much like we have a directory.build.props, which is automatically imported, you can also create a file called directory.build.rsp, and that will always, basically that's a list of command line arguments, and MSBuild will always use that if it's present. So it's sort of another standard naming thing, which I don't use and don't really know. Maybe you could use that to avoid like a build.bat file that sets a bunch of stuff. Just have that, and then the command to build is just MSBuild. I don't personally have a need for that, but anyway. So thank you for your pull request, Marco, but sorry, I'm going to close it. But updates, restore sources is a good idea. Anyway, yeah, if anyone else has any, pull requests they want to submit, or questions, or anything you want to do, feel free to post them up on the GitHub, and yeah, maybe I'll take one, maybe not. We'll see. Alright, cool. So, where were we coding wise? Let's run this thing. Yes, we had a blank view, very exciting, and some buttons, very exciting. Cool. We should probably draw something, I guess. Do we want to draw something, or do we want to make the buttons work? Nah, let's draw something. Let's draw a grid. Because drawing a grid, yeah, we need a bunch of stuff in a grid. Excuse me. So, what do we need? We need something to represent the game. We need a holding object, I think. Because, so we've got a UI, we've got a pixel, we've got a area to draw in pixels, but we don't really want to think in pixels, we want to think in rows and columns, right? Let me bring up Ye Faithful Train Game. In case you missed the first episode, this is what we're building. So yeah, we want to. we want to. So we have pixels, but really we want column 1, column 2, column 3, row 1, row 2, row 3. That's what we want to think in. So when we draw a track, we want to say, hey, there's a track at 1, 1 or 2, 2. Depends on whether we go 0 based. I don't know. We don't want to have to think about pixels. So we kind of need something to bridge that gap. I'm going to delete that because I think it doesn't work very well when you're not focused. We'll see. Right. So, what I want is I want a game board. Yeah. Let's create a game board. So this is going to represent our game board. This is going to represent our square, right? Public. Oops. And we want to have, I guess we need columns, and it is mutable because, whoops, the window can be resized, so it's mutable. It might become immutable later. We'll see. Initially with this development, I think I'm gonna start hacking away until I get to a certain point, and then I'm gonna think about things like tests eventually. Hopefully not too long, but tests. And then eventually what I want to do, obviously with this being a game, I want to have a render loop and a game loop that are separate. And so potentially for that, I'll want to introduce immutability so that my render loop is only dealing with things that can't change. But until I need that, I'm kind of going to just keep it simple because I think there'll be a lot of refactoring in my future. In fact, probably even get to maybe even next episode, I don't know, but I'd like to get to like DI and, wire things up automatically, so we'll see. Anyway, Yeah, so we need to do that, and I guess then we need a set size method, because this has got to take in, a width and height, but do the maths, convert to columns and rows. No TDD. No. There might be eventually, but starting with TDD for a visual thing, I don't think my brain can handle that. Maybe it's possible, but yeah. I do want to get to test though. So actually, one of the things I definitely do. So one thing that I did the code that does this drawing. See, as I drag the mouse down there, it just rearranged all sorts of different tracks, right? I draw this one, it doesn't do anything, but if I drag down, it does. If I delete this, it resets back. All of that stuff, that code is currently terribly written in this version, and I want to do some changes, but I just can't without breaking it because it's horrible. So I definitely want to have tests as at least a refactor guard. I don't know about TDD. We'll think about it. So what I want to do though, I guess I need a board. Theme board. Hey, look, Visual Studio preview. I think this is only in preview, but see this? See how it says the namespace that comes from here? What that means is I don't have a using for this here, but it still found it for me, and when I accept that suggestion, it's going to add the using. It's really cool. I know ReSharper users have had that for years, but I'm not one, so I just got it. Non-nullable field. Oh yeah, nullability. Awesome. Well, I am going to initialize it, so don't worry. And then I'm going to set the size. And the size, I guess I actually want to do this in here when we resize the view, because that's when we know the size. Set size, and we're going to go to views width and the views height, and we need to call this once, don't we? And I guess we need to do that after we add the. No, actually, I reckon that'll work. So when the ski view is added to the panel and the panel is added to the control, all this docking stuff will kick in, which should fire that event. Let's find out. Yay, debugging. This should get hit at least once, if not twice, but once is enough. Yay! There we go. Cool. We got hit with a width. What's a width? 25. Oh, it's tiny, so it should probably get hit again. 15. It got smaller. It got bigger. There we go. Okay, cool. And it's off screen, and if I press my magical hotkey, it gets hit again because I've just resized it to be on screen. Awesome. Alright, so cool. How many columns do we want? That's actually pretty straightforward. So I'm just going to do a constant here, cell size, whoops, and I'm going to go 40. 40 pixels. We'll start with that. It might look terrible. We'll see how we go. 40 feels like a good number. I think 40 is the number used in the JavaScript, so just essentially copying. But so what I want to do here is go, well, list.columns is width divided by cell size. And then we need some overflow protection here. So if columns times cell size is greater than the width, then columns minus. So I don't know if this is necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway. The theory is that once the width is, So my width is just pixels, right? But I want to make sure I'm always showing a whole cell. So that's why if the last cell only just fits on, bring it back one. And then essentially same thing with rows. Features of Visual Studio Time. I'm going to press Alt Shift Dot, and it selects columns. And I press it again, and I press the next one, and I press it again. It selects the next one, and then I can just edit them all. It's awesome. Same trick. Width, and I want it to be height. Productivity gains. But I want there always to be at least one of these things, so I guess I need to do this. And width, I actually don't need to do that for width, because Windows won't let me size a form that small. If the rows, oh, okay, and then yeah, so same thing with we want to bring it back one, but we always want to have at least one. What happened with the camera there? So, and rows is greater one. Blah. And I probably should use a temporary variable for those things first. What are you complaining about? It does not access anything. Yeah, well, it can, but it's public, so what are you complaining about? Wait, doesn't access instant start? I guess it does. That's weird. Oh, that's really weird. That's a bug. Look, never used. Ha! Lies. Can that ever happen? Overflow. It's always dividing an int. So yeah, I don't mean overflow. I mean, hello, camera. Looking as good as... Oh, this is good. I can blow my nose now and no one will... Oh, hello. It's always dividing an int. So, yeah. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm worrying for nothing. I mean, we can leave it out and see what happens. Yeah, let's do that. Let's trial and error this thing. I mean, I guess we could write tests if you really wanted to. Not gonna. What I do want to do, though, is I want to draw. So I don't want to just clear this. Although I do want to clear it. Do I clear it? Nah, not yet. I want to game board. I can't put the draw method on the game board because game board exists in the engine and not in rendering. So I need. Okay, maybe game board is in the wrong spot. Okay, game board. Yeah. So okay, my problem is I want to basically call a method now that says draw stuff. And I can't put that on GameBoard because GameBoard doesn't know how to draw, right? GameBoard is in the engine. All the drawing stuff has to be in rendering. But I guess I can just put it in rendering, and rendering... Actually, rendering does reference engine, doesn't it? Yeah. So I could move GameBoard to rendering, but that feels a bit weird. Because columns and rows is not part of rendering, right? It's not part of drawing. This is part of the game. I guess set size kind of is part of... that gets a bit funny, doesn't it? Maybe we need another. Let's put another class in here to do this. Actually, let's just call it game because I'm running out of names. And let's put this on the game. Whoops, class. Which I did not need to pin. And let's have game take a game board. And let's initialize that with a field. Which, if you didn't catch that, was control dot, and, well, there was a thing there. It's not offering it to me now because it's not. And so this, yeah, let's let's make all of these go away and delete, and then shift right, and then this is it Control EU? Oh no, it's not. It's somewhere advanced. Make lowercase. There we go. Efficiency. if you know what you're doing, which I didn't, so I lost some efficiency there. And set game board columns and rows. Okay, so back to here, we actually want to create a game, which is a game. This can be read only, and it can take a new game board, because I don't think we actually care about the game board. We just want to this again. So yeah, I don't think we care about the game board, but we need to pass it in just for separation of concerns type things. Ooh, press the wrong button. So my keyboard is completely black, and I touch type, but then every now and again I lose where my fingers are, so I sometimes make those mistakes. Yeah, so let's tell the game to render. Now, what can we tell it to render with? So this references Skier Sharp. Yeah. So I can pass in the surface, I guess. But yeah, that looks good. It should be able to render. Excellent. Oh, cell size. Whoops. I'm going to move that too. Okay. Now, rendering. Yay. I'm going to just do this here because I'm lazy. How do we render? Well, we need to get a canvas in order to render, and so I will do that now. There's not a lot of Skier Sharp that I know, but there's not a lot of Skier Sharp that I need to know, so I know that I can get a canvas, and then basically I know that using the canvas in Skier Sharp is very similar to using the canvas in HTML, so I'm just going to do that, or pretend. So, right, I have my size, I know the columns and the rows. But we're rendering, we need to think in pixels, don't we? So I actually want this to be a field. Can I do that? Choose local. It is already local. I do not want another local. Oh well. I need to remember the size. So in this oh yeah, okay. Oh, wait a minute. I can probably get that from the surface. So width, surface properties, width, no. Does canvas have a width? No. Okay, I'll save the width and the height. Yeah, there might be a better way to do this, but this will do for now. I just want to see something on the screen so we can see if my math here works out. For some background, I'm generally terrible at math and I avoid it. Like I can do plus and minus, but I'm really lazy. So I just things like, oh, will this be bigger than this? I don't know. I just write a program, work it out. So all I want to do is go from, well, I guess I should call this X. So we're going to do that, and I am going to draw a line. And I don't want to do plus equal, I want to do plus equals cell size. So all I'm doing is starting at 0, I'm going to draw a line, then I'm going to move 40 pixels across, draw another line. And yeah, that should be it. So the way that, well, I can do this two ways. Let's do it the simple way. I can simply go, was it move to? No, line, draw a line from x comma 0 to x comma height. So top to bottom. Oh, that's okay. I probably took another parameter for the, yeah. And then the paint, this is like the color, etc. Let's go grid paint, and what is this got on it? Color, no colors, colors, black gray, and we want a width of 1, and we want a style of stroke. I don't know if you can fill a line. I don't really know what that means, but I don't want to. Cool. And then we just do the same thing again. Let's see if this works. Oh, I'm very excited. Y, height. And I guess I could allow for like, rectangular, rectangular columns. What are you complaining about? Surface is not null. Okay. Good. I'll fix that later. Nullability is interesting. Hey, look at that. We got some vertical lines. We don't got any horizontal lines though, which means I kind of can't tell. So when I was talking about overflow, what I meant was this. So this line here, I don't want there to be a cell here. So even though this one fits in, the whole thing doesn't fit in. I think I'm missing a +1. I think if I add a 1 to this, it'll make more sense. But essentially, I don't want to draw the start of the cell. Why did this not work? Oh, because I didn't change these parameters. No, this was right. And Y. Okay, try again. You're all screaming at your monitors, weren't you? Saying, you've done it wrong. Okay, so yeah, so this is what I didn't want to happen. I don't want these going that far. But I guess... that I don't have overflow protection on the actual... Yeah, okay. I don't have overflow protection on the width and height. I'm just taking in whatever's passed in, so I need to do that as well. Let's do this. The width is columns times cell size, and this is rows times cell size. This will tell me. I should make this start. There we go. Look at that. That's better. Okay, cool. So I don't need the overflow. So yeah, as there's room for one more, just draws. Hopefully you can all see that. It's kind of light grey, but it is there. So that looks cool, but whoa, what the? Can you see what's happening on the left column over there? Check out that line. As I resize this vertically, that left line disappears. And that's weird, because that is basically hard-coded to be 0, right? That's not my math, I don't think. That's weird. I kind of think I want some padding anyway, though. Oh, you know what I should do? I'm going to do surface.clear, canvas, clear. I forgot this one. This will make it much easier to see, hopefully. And cool. There we are. That looks better. So, but I need some padding on this because, yeah, see that left-hand line is disappearing. It's really weird. And it's a little bit squishy. So maybe I'll just start everything at 1. Is that the lazy way to do it? See? Lazy. Math's bad. Lazy good. Okay. It doesn't happen. Keep the very last pixel. Yes, I do. I need to also extend out the width +1 to get the right-hand border. It's very true. Thank you. But I think my left-hand line is not disappearing now. So I'm going to call that a rendering bug in Skia, because that was a hard-coded 0. Now it's a hard-coded 1. There should be no difference. And I also don't want to clear the whole canvas because that looks weird. So +1 there, and +1 there, and oh, wow, I didn't comment out. Wait, oh god, I thought I commented out this and I didn't. Now I'm so confused. Okay, what's going on? Do we need this overflow or not? Okay, we don't have the last line. I guess I need to put +2. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, but the actual drawing looks good. It's cutting off, see it's jumping off by 1 cell. And yep, it's keeping 1 all the time. Okay, that's good. And then this probably, oh, it will just let me get small enough for 1 column actually. Just. Alright. Okay, let's get rid of this if we don't need it. Great. Great. And yeah, let's just, it makes sense to do this. I guess maybe there'll be, actually, it does make sense to do this because whilst Windows won't let me size this so small, this rendering thing has nothing to do with Windows. We are only checking on, well, we're only depending on scale. And so let's add 2 to this. Oh, actually, there's an even better way of doing that. Yes, I think I will do it the better way. Ah, cool. There we are. We have a full game board. Lovely. Cool. Oh, my alarm's going off. Yeah, my alarm's going off because there's only 10 minutes left in the stream, but you know what? I'm going to keep going. Let's make this a long one. Who cares? I actually also might just stream it other days as well because sometimes weekends are quiet and can I null check that? Yeah, I really wanted to. Oh, look at that, lovely. I really wanted to stream last Sunday, but then I thought, oh no, I said I'd do it on Wednesdays, so I've decided I don't care about the rules because I make the rules. So Wednesdays is the regular stream that will always happen, but you never know. Randomly, I might stream some other time, but I'll put everything on YouTube. So not that you'll miss much because boy, this is slow going. I hope you weren't all expecting some fast-paced development here. You know what I'm going to do though? This 1s and 2s are kind of annoying. I can actually do this a little bit better. So what you can do with a canvas is something called translate. So if we go back to this game, which is nighttime, so I will refresh it. Each of these tracks, like we're going to have code that draws a track. And yeah, this one starts at, I don't know, 1,000 pixels to the right and 80 pixels down. But we don't want to have to constantly have to think about all of that offset stuff. So what you can do with the canvas is by default, this is 0, 0, this is 1,000, 0, this is 0, 1,000, and this is 1,000, 1,000. What you can do is you can say, well, I know I'm here, but I want to be over here. So you can call a translate function and translate by 1,000, 80, and that puts 0 here. And so if you do this for every cell, if you constantly translate, then it means that any one cell only needs to care about 0, 0. So that's what I'm going to do for this whole thing. I can just go translate by 1, and then this can come back to sensible numbers, because now everything is offset by 1. And I could also do, so if I clip this, so what clipping is saying is essentially don't let anyone draw outside of this. So if I give myself a buffer, yeah, 2 is fine. And then, what do we got? Intersect or difference, subtract, oops. Intersect, yeah. So I've got this region here. I want to intersect it with this and only allow them to draw on that intersection. And then I don't honestly know, but I'm going to go with no, because this is a very pixel-based drawing game. We probably don't want any APISing at all. Cool. So this, the clip won't actually do anything, but if I stuff up my drawing code, in theory this will actually so that clip would mean if I clipped it right, I clipped it here, I don't have to worry about the line going over, it just won't draw that. But anyway, there's a grid. Looks good. I'm happy with that. Alright, we're going to draw a track now, but we've got to clean up this code first. So let's, I'm going to do this grid. So I said I was going to use DI eventually, and I will. And so what I'm thinking is a bunch of different renderers that all work on a different they all work on different they all get past the game board, I guess, which is what they need, don't they? I guess they need the game for that. And so yeah, so there'll be a grid renderer. So the grid renderer job is just to render a grid. And so then what this will do, so the game's job can be to clear out the rectangle, but this bit, I'm going to create a grid renderer. I'm going to call it .render on it. Actually, so we can, yeah, that'll work. And so we want a private read-only grid. So the idea here would be eventually, there'll be a track renderer and a train renderer, surface, good point. And all of these things will just, they will have their one job, their one responsibility, which sounds good. Let's just do that as public constant. Yeah, they'll all have their job. And, maybe we could do something. So I want to use DI for this, so these renderers will all be automatically hooked up, so the game can just discover them. Maybe the UI can discover them as well, and it can have, maybe we have a checkbox next to each one, so you can turn on and off different layers or something. Whoa, wrong one. That one. Cool. Alright, that looks good. We have a grid. Method render does not access instance data. Yeah, that's true, but eventually, alright, let's not do eventually. I am a renderer. I am a grid renderer? No, a game renderer? Board renderer. I like that one. Board renderer. This will at least get it to stop complaining. I hope. Cool. And then just for fun, in game, and like this. And eventually, that'll be a collection, and this will loop through them all. But we definitely need DI for that because we need to think about priorities. Why are they not going away? How many errors do I have? Yeah, I mean, I guess I can do this. What the? That was weird. Yeah, there's something weird going on there. Method render doesn't, I mean, I guess it's going to catch up. Yeah, there we go. Bit of a delay in the analysis. Cool. Let's check that in. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to create a branch. I know where this is a bad idea, or a useless idea. I was going to create a branch for each episode, essentially, and then merge that branch in so there's like one commit for that episode. I don't know if that makes sense. Nah, it doesn't make sense. Add a grid renderer and draw a grid. This is the way I use Git. I write a lot of code and then I do a commit. Some people go back and do little commits. Yeah, well, whatever. It's a personal project. All right, trains. We need to draw trains. How do we draw trains? Well, we need to do something about when we click the button because we have two buttons. One's called pointer, and so only one creates trains. Okay. So everything goes through the game, right? We don't want any logic in our WinForms. So even the clicks all have to go through the game. So we can do this. We can extract this to a method by pressing the right button. There we go. Yeah, extract method. Create button. And let's do that as well. Create button. Pointer. And track. Cool. So now we're creating buttons. We can also hook up an event handler. Click. So click. Yeah, so we want to tell the game to stay. We want to tell the game that we have clicked tool click, and we have a caption. That's yuck. Don't like that. Doesn't like it at all. Okay. What about if we have on our game? Game can be in charge of tools. Yeah. Tool. Because it's fun to say the word tool. Current tool. And I want an enum. Alright. How many tools we got? We got pointer, we got track, we got train, I guess we got eraser. Let's not bite off too much, shall we? Contains the type name. Oh, because there's a type name called pointer? That's... I don't care. This is a tool. This is a tool.toString. And dot current tool equals tool. Yay, captures. And for each. For each. How do we, is it enum.get or enum dot, what the, enum dot, that's better, get values, yeah, that's probably right, get values, type of tool, and then I guess Oh, what is that? That's an array. .NET weirdness. You have an array, but you don't have an array. You have a, you know. Okay, so we can cast it, hopefully. Oh, I guess we need link for that. Can we using link? Nope. Okay, let's do this. Yes, decompile. Go for it. So give us returns an array returns IEnvol. Oh, iList. Yeah, cool. Ah, dear. I'm sure there's a better way. If you know the better way and are screaming at your computer, please tell me. Now we can cast this, surely. Yes. And now we can reverse it, which is what I actually wanted to do. So we need to add these backwards because just the way that docking works in WinForms. They're all docked to the top, so they will stack up. That's wrong. That should be right. Why is this an object if I cast it to tool? Okay, I will cast you again. Unboxing a possibly null node. God, there's a lot of errors now. Oh yeah, return value, that's probably a good idea. And what are you complaining about? Not disposed, yep, I'm returning it, so it doesn't care. Cool. Does this work? No. Build succeeded, but it didn't run. So there's probably an error there. Ah. Reverse iterator. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. I got my brackets wrong. So that, yeah, okay, sorry. I shouldn't have deleted that bracket. I should have added that one. Okay. I wonder if var now works. Hey, look at that. Pointer, track, frame, razor. Excellent. Cool. So now the game knows what tool is clicked. I want the first one to be checked. So checked equals checked equals tool equals pointer, but let's not do that. Let's do that. Maybe? Cool. So, okay, so now the game knows what tool we have, so we can now go to mouse down, up, tough choice. And we just want to tell for each tool in tool. Oh, just cast to an array? Well, that does seem easier. I guess I can still reverse that, right? Yeah, alright. Let's find it. Dot reverse. Yay. I think actually Roslyn now highlights when you don't need braces, so I think grays are now. Yeah, cool. So I can remove unnecessary references. And then these ones aren't unnecessary. Excellent. Cool. Alright, so what was it doing here? Yes, game dot. So we have clicked the mouse at either X and either Y, and I guess that's all we care about. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. Now, is that all we need to do for clicking? mouse down. Let's go worry about tool, let's go thing, set the coordinates. I guess we probably only want to do this with the left mouse button. Or tell it which mouse button. Yeah, let's do that. I want to introduce local. No, I want to introduce a local function. Is it a convert to local function? And what have I selected all? No. Okay, I'll just do it the way that I know how. Yeah, actually, I meant to do this. I want this create button to be a local function as well, because I kind of like the fact that this class doesn't need anything except as a constructor. It's just sort of, I don't know. I feel like it keeps me honest. The less stuff in Windows forms, the better. So if I artificially constrain it to just the constructor, kind of makes sense to me somehow. Can't type. Let's say no, it's getting late. If it equals, no, if it doesn't equal left, makes sense. Return. Do we need to do, is this a flag xenum? Oh, I hate how you can't. It is a flag xenum. Okay, flag xenum. The tool isn't necessary since we're not using var. Yeah, it is necessary because, whoops, go away. Control X. I think it is necessary because otherwise reverse won't work. Yeah, so the array type itself is not enough information for the link extension methods. So, yeah, and it just needs something. I mean, that's why I was using iList before, which I guess maybe that's what you mean. Like, yeah, this could just be iList or IEnumerable. It doesn't actually matter, but then we need the cast. Well, no, we don't need the cast because we're not using var yet. Yeah, I suppose I can get to var. Cool. Although, yeah, such an ugly line of code. I'm gonna leave it. Yeah, so this is a flag xenum, so we need to go here, clean up button, and left doesn't equal left. Cool. Why? Why in the like? Operator and precedence. Cool. And then, okay, this is dodgy, but I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm just going to repaint after a click, which is not eventually not necessary, like in the long run, because game loop, render loop, etc. But for now, who cares? Let's just. I really would love to get a track on the board, but 20 minutes. I don't like my chances. Okay, so if current tool is a track, I need to know what column they clicked on, not what pixel position they clicked on. Which is this, but yeah, cool. That should probably be a method. Oops. So the column is x times cell size. The row is y times cell size. This probably could do invalidation, but I'm lazy. And I trust myself because I wrote all the rest of the code. But yeah, there's nothing stopping someone bad calling big values of x and y. Actually, maybe validation's bad because if I have a window that's 800 by 600 and I draw a track in the bottom right, then I resize it smaller, I want that track to stay there, right? So, yeah, anyway. Okay. So to actually set a track, though, that's a job for the game board. Add track to column row. And yeah, so that's a job for the game board, and the game board deals in columns and rows. Makes sense. I guess I could validate this as well, but maybe not. So, a track. To store our tracks, I reckon all I need is a dictionary. And I can have a key that is the X and Y position, and a track as the value, and we can call it tracks, and we can right click. So I reckon add track, all it needs to do, let's be nice. If it contains column row, then do we ignore it? Do we flip it? Let's worry about that later. Tracks. And this is also where, obviously, immutability. Oh, whoops. I got confused by my brackets. Immutability and that sort of thing. A thread-safe dictionary is probably needed if we're going to be drawing from this same dictionary, but yeah, we'll worry about that later too. Yes, make that read-only. Good idea. Cool, we have a track. So, what's a track know? Track knows nothing. Does a track need to know where it is? Good question. Not now. Okay, well, now we can add tracks, we need to draw them. So, this is where our renderers come in. Because now I can call track renderer. Or I guess this is a track. This is a layout renderer. Call it track layout renderer. Because a track renderer would render an individual track. And track layout renderer. It's a track layout renderer. Fun enough. Oh no! Got me with that rename option. Is this smart enough to implement the interface? Oh, it is. Look at that. So smart. Implement. Yes. Cool. Oh, this is where I wish I had DI. Because this needs the tracks, which means this needs the game board. Which means I now either pass the game board into render, which means updating the grid layout one, which doesn't need it. Or I pass it in here, which I can do. Alright, I'm just going to do that. Alright, next episode, DI to make this less crappy. Because this is crappy. This is really crappy. Add a parameter. No, not generate constructor. Add a parameter. Oh. I miss music. Are you allowed music on Twitch? Everything I've read says no, but every stream I watch has music. It's probably one of those things where... what am I doing? It's getting late. Okay. Track renderer. So I guess we just loop through each track Get tracks. Okay, maybe this answers the question as to whether tracks need to know where they are, because the renderer certainly needs to know where they are. I guess this could return a tuple or a tuple, depending on your predilection. Yeah, it's not. It wasn't even a track. What am I doing? Track info dot key dot item one. Yuck. That's pretty horrible. I might have to fix that up too. So what I really want to do is I want this to be that. And in fact I want this to be col row track. And then I want to just return col row track. But you can't do that because this doesn't have a deconstruct. Aha! But I know a trick. So if you haven't used dictionary extensions, if you haven't used tuples before, value tuples, you can deconstruct something into a tuple, which means basically pull it apart and extract its bits that it's made of and store them separately. But a dictionary by default doesn't support this, but we can add it. If we have a specially named method called deconstruct, and it's not the dictionary, it's actually the key value pair which the dictionary stores. If we have a specially named method called deconstruct, key value pair, then we can provide our own method that has all of the things as. I'm sure there's a reason why they don't return a tuple here, but it's weird. And then all we can do is just put that ugly code item 1 and row equals key value pair dot key dot item 2. So we put this ugly code here once and value. And that's it. This this yay now compiles. So this tracks is an I numeral of key value pair. The compiler then says, right, how do I convert a key value pair into one of these? It sees our deconstruct method, which does that conversion, and away we go. So this now should work, but this is wrong. This is that. Cool. All right. Draw a track. I don't think I'm going to have time to draw a track, but maybe I can draw a letter T. Yeah, maybe we'll start with that. How do we draw a track? Alright, I'm going to do. So we want to do the translate thing. Let's grab the canvas because we're going to need it. So we want to do the translate thing again. And we want to translate to col times game dot size row size. So now our 0, 0 is wherever we want this track. So that's cool. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to draw the letter T. Whoa. At a point. Let's take floats. Floats will do. Well, I guess it's 0, 0. And then I want a paint. Paint. Yeah, let's do this, and then we can at least verify that it works. Black, and is there a font size or a text size? Text size 24? No idea. Text scale speed type. Text align. I wonder if this is. There's a very good chance this won't work because I've said to draw it at 0, 0, and it might center the T on the 0, 0, but let's find out. Let's run this thing. Okay, here's our game board. We click track, and it didn't work, which is not very surprising, let's face it. If I force it to repaint, no. Okay, to debugging. Let's see if this ever gets it. Okay. I got asked to render, that's good. Click. Okay, got asked to render, that's good. Do we have any tracks? We do. Whoa. That is not a column and not a row. Okay. What's the bet in game board when I said add a track? Yeah, that's the wrong way. That should be divide. Yeah, divide. Yes. Okay, good. Well, that's easy to fix. Let's try again. I really need to make this window go somewhere. Hey, it's a T. Whoa. Okay, so something's not working, but we have tracks of a sort. Oh. Aha. We're constantly translating. Alright. Yep, that makes sense too. So, excuse me. Translate's an awesome tool, but you need to use it wisely. So, we told it to translate to 1 to 1, and then the track told it to translate down here, and then we told it to move 1 1 again, so we moved it a little down, and then etc. We're constantly translating, but we're never. Well, actually, the clear might make the 1 1's probably around, but certainly within the track renderer, we are we are just constantly moving down the board. So there's a way we can do this too. What we do is we say canvas.save, and when we're finished drawing a track, we say canvas.restore. And so this is, what I'll do is eventually this will be moved to another renderer, to a track renderer. Actually, let's do that now. Maybe. No, that's not. So this will be moved to a track renderer. So the track layout is responsible for translating, and the track renderer is just going to draw the track, so it doesn't care. So save and restore is good. But we actually should probably do the same thing here, and just go canvas.save and canvas.restore. So in case the grid renderer or the track layout renderer does some translating, they're sort of immune to it. It's kind of just, begin scope, end scope. We'll clean all this up when this would be a loop, and so, yeah. So, draw a T, kind of in the vicinity of the mouse. Yay, look at that. I'm going to call it a win. With 2 minutes to go. It's the ugliest train tracks I've ever seen, but I'll take it. Cool. Let's, no, wait. I just can't. I'm too much of a perfectionist. Is 2020? Is that what we want? I just want T's to look better, even though they're T's. Oh, you know what? Right. Haha. What's this? Hacks. If you make it a H, it looks a bit like a train track. Come on. I should do this. There's a test of my... It's totally a train track. What do you mean? It's perfect. Test of my separation of concerns here is, can I write the console app version of trains? Can I drag? Oh, I'm going to drag it. Yeah, ship it. That's it. We're done. Excellent. I'll just move it down a bit. You know, gonna be perfect. 25, 30, sure. Oh, that's it. Done. Finished. Well done. Choo choo, everybody. Alright, I'm going to commit that. That'll do. We have some drawing of tracks. So, yeah, I think next time, obviously we need to clean all of this up, but I'm kind of thinking maybe if we can get some DI, dependency injection, in there, then that'll allow it to be much neater. And yeah, I can actually draw a proper track. And then the next step is, of course, tracks go in more than one direction after you have the drawing. So that'll be fun. Actually, that'll be easy, because in fact, I can spoil it. So there's translate, which moves your pointer this way. It's not really moving a pointer. It's actually the whole frame of reference. And so there's also canvas dot, probably rotate. Yeah. So rotate degrees. So to draw a vertical track, to draw a horizontal track, you rotate 90 degrees and just draw a vertical track. So yeah, rotate the H, exactly. Yes, maybe I could do rotation before I do drawing. There's probably a Unicode character for a sideways H. But yeah, so rotating is actually easy, but the tricky bit then comes, and this is probably like episode 4 maybe, is automatically determining the direction. And that's where I definitely will want to put in unit tests, because that'll be like, I'm putting a track down here, and I need to check if there's one here, or here, or here, or here, and there's got to be some priority. And you don't want to break an existing track if it's in a line. So like, if we go here and refresh this, if I put a track here, and then I put one here, these will join up. Right, so that's essentially a track and then another track under it. Great. But if I join these up, if I now put a track here, which is under this track, it doesn't join up because it knows that this one is part of a set. The variable for this in the TypeScript, I still remember, is called happy. It checks if its neighbors are happy, and if it's happy, it doesn't disturb them. Anyway, cool. So that's that for thing. We have drawing and tracks of a sort, and that's very exciting. So thanks for watching, and yeah, let us know on the GitHub if there's any questions, issues, comments, etc. And let me know as well, like if there's sound issues or anything like that. I had a weird problem with my headset earlier today, but it seemed to be fixed, so hopefully it was good for you. But anyway, otherwise, good night. Thank you for joining me. Going to bed because I'm very old. See ya.